The intervention I'm going to be covering today is copy, cover, compare. When using this intervention for math, you have 4 different columns. The first is the problem column, where you would write the math problem. The second is the cover column, where the answer would be written for the student to cover later. The third is a copy column, where the students would copy the problem and figure out the answer. And the last is the compare column, where they would check their work. This intervention is great for simple math problems that you want students to be able to memorize and come up with the answers easily, and it only takes a few minutes so that you could do it several times, and that's something such as multiplication tables. So to do this intervention, first you write the problem and the answer for the student to see. Next, you fold over the answer so that the student can only see the problem. Then the student copies the entire problem and the solution in the third column. After the problems are all complete, the student unfolds the paper and compares their answer to the actual answer. All a teacher would need to do this intervention is a piece of paper and a pen, or if you wanted to, you could use a second piece of paper to cover the answer. That way you wouldn't need to go through the folding process. So next, I'm going to show a student completing this intervention in real time. Notice how he's looking at the problem and the answer before folding the paper over the answer. Once he's done, he folds the paper over the answer. Next, he writes the entire problem in the copy section and completes the problems. Finally, he uncovers his work to compare his answer to the actual answer and marks which ones he got right and which ones are wrong. Because this intervention is so self-explanatory, the student can check their work themselves and figure out which ones they need to study for the next time. There are also multiple other ways to complete this intervention. In this next trial, the student is copying and comparing his own answers on a separate piece of paper. This way, he can reuse the first piece of paper in order to practice repetition and do the problem several times without having to rewrite the entire thing. Notice how he is still comparing his own answer to the answer key and checking his work to see what he got right and what he needs to work on for next time. Another version of this intervention is verbal cover, copy, and compare. In this trial, the student looks at the problem and answers, covers the answer, and verbally says the answer while checking his work. There are several different sites that cover this intervention. One research-based site that supports this is Joel Grafman's research that can be found on our website. This can be found under the More Research-Based Interventions and Cover, Copy, and Compare section at the bottom. This research supports this intervention and finds that it works really well at helping students through repetition because it is so easy for them to complete it by themselves very quickly. Another advantage of this intervention is that students can evaluate their responses themselves and avoid embarrassment if they get it wrong. This encourages them to continue trying because they don't have to worry about what their peers think. Another site that covers the step-by-step process more in depth is interventioncentral.org. This site further talks about the materials needed and includes a step-by-step process for the students to complete the work on their own. There are also several pre-made worksheets online as well. On the interventioncentral.org website, There are downloadable instructions and worksheets that detail how to implement this intervention and gives you the materials that you need. Teachers Pay Teachers also has some great resources for purchase that can help you with this intervention, including instructions, workbooks, and pre-made lessons.